Yo everyone, what's going on? Welcome to Amps, Pedals and Pickups. My name's Nathan, and today I'm going to be doing a bit of a shootout of the 5153 50 watt blue channel here versus the Fractal FM3 50 watt blue channel. They have a specific blue channel for the 50 watt, so it's real good that I can do an A-B comparison with those two here. Now I'm sure you've seen a ton of shootout videos, but what's really cool is the Fractal firmware keeps getting updated over time. I can definitely tell you from the day that I got the Fractal FM3 versus today, the firmware is so much better. They just keep adding those extra little nuances to make things sound awesome. And whilst I can get the Fractal gear to sound good, I can get the amp to sound good, you know, it always niggles away. Are they the same? Are you really dialing them in the same? So I wanted to do this A-B video for me. Like I said, as well for you, it's going to be some interesting stuff. So let's run into this full mix. I wrote a quick little tune for this video. It sounds really cool, my kind of music. We'll compare both of them. We'll hear them in solo, hear them in the full mix. I'll talk you through the recording chain afterwards. Let's jump into it and check it all out. How good it looks like I'm keeping my dog hostage. She's just walked in the room and refuses to leave. But there we go, amp 1 versus amp 2. Before I give away the reveal, it'll be interesting to know if you can hear any like majorly discernible differences between the two. I'll talk about the recording chain and how I dialed them in just a sec, but here we go. Amp 1 is the Fractal FM3 and amp 2 is the real 5153. Now there is a bit of differences going on because I really just dialed things in by ear. It's actually funny, putting this whole video together took a couple hours and dialing in those tones, just like a 5 to 10 minute job. I dialed one in, it sounded good. I dialed in the second one to sort of match the two, and I just went from there. So as far as the recording chain goes, I recorded the DI and then I reamped it into both of them because I felt that was a fair comparison using the same reamping setup. So for the FM3, I believe the block there was a drive block, which was just an 808 style drive, into the amp block, which is the 5153. I'll put up on the screen an A-B comparing the settings because they're a little bit different between the two. We'll look at that in just a sec. And for the 5153 model, I reamped it into the Fractal because I wanted to use the same drive block to have the same sort of characteristics. So just the drive block into the actual 5153 amp. Of course, I'm not miking up cabs here, I'm just using a load box. And then from the TwoNotes Captor X, I'm using the same GGD Cali IR. So everything for all intents and purposes should be the same. The only discernible differences should be the digital amp versus the analog amp. So I'll throw up an overlay of the settings of the real 5153 versus the Fractal 5153. And I thought we'll do another quick little listening test to show the differences. Because once I did this, I sort of came to some more conclusions, which is like super interesting. So let's have a quick listen to the isolated tones. The top track here is the FM3, bottom is the 5153. So let's have a listen. So when I hear those two, I'm hearing that the FM3 has a bit more high end and the real one has a bit more body to it, or not darker, but I guess like the tiniest bit darker. And it's super interesting because when I look at the settings differences, the two that really stand out to me is that the FM3 has slightly more presence and the FM3 also has slightly less master volume. Those two things will give a tone more top end, because the more that you crank the master volume, the sort of more body that you're going to get out of it, a bit more compression, and obviously presence is like a top end treble sort of sound. So, you know, they sound so dead on to me. Like I could just put one on the left ear and one on the right ear and it would sound like some good blended tones. They're so like 95% in the same family. The only differences are that one sounds a bit, you know, more bodier than the other, and we can explain that body difference just by the small settings. I did initially dial things in identical, like I put the same settings, and they were close, but they weren't exactly the same. So I thought, why bother going for this one-to-one route? I'll just dial things in by ear, have a listen to how it sounds at the end of the video. So there we have it. What do you think overall about the comparison between A and B? I gotta say, even doing this test firsthand, this is not something that I sit down and do these sort of tests all the time, but I'm actually quite shocked at how similar it is, because even for my uses, I'll use the Fractal stuff all the time. It's just easier to stick to one ecosystem. That's what I use quite a lot. And I use those 5153 amps all the time. I actually use a bunch of the same Fractal amps all the time. I should do a video on that. What a great segue. Smash that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, I use the 5153 amps all the time in the Fractal, and even for my own sake, when I want to go that extra mojo, like after I've recorded something, I'll reamp things through the real 5153. And I'm almost second questioning if it's worth my time doing that, because the Fractal stuff, I mean, for all intents and purposes, sounds identical. So yeah, look, thanks for watching. Amps, pedals, and pickups, just getting this channel off the ground. I've kickstarted a Discord server. I'll leave the links to that in the description. I know I just said it, but smash that like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Definitely helps the channel grow. So as always, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. My dog will be happy that I can finally let him out of this room. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you on the next one.